Welcome to Michigan Justice Chronicles with Dan Geherin.
Hello and welcome to Michigan Justice Chronicles with board-certified criminal trial attorney Daniel T. Geherin. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and today we're going to talk about something that happened at the University of Michigan. Recently, a U of M football coach, Matt Weiss, was charged with a series of federal computer crimes for allegedly accessing private computer files of college students throughout the country. Dan, you have a unique perspective as a former prosecutor, a criminal defense attorney, and a board-certified criminal trial attorney, especially one who is based in Ann Arbor, where this crime originated. First of all, welcome back. It's good to see you. Absolutely. What can you tell us about this case?
Yeah, I can tell you a lot. Like you said, right here in my backyard in Ann Arbor, the University of Michigan is 5 minutes from my office. And this case involving Matt Weiss has sort of exploded into the justice community, and it's had a lot of ripple effects, which I'm happy to talk about. But in a nutshell, Matt Weiss was a defensive coordinator at the Michigan football program, and he was let go under sort of quiet circumstances. Well, it turns out a year and a half later, he was charged with nearly 25, as you said, computer crimes in federal court in Detroit. And in a nutshell, what the allegations are, they're fairly creepy. They claim that Matt Weiss, over a period of about 8 years, accessed private databases throughout college campuses in the country, had access to approximately 2,000 mostly female students' private data, including photos and videos, medical information. And he allegedly took that information, downloaded it, and viewed it himself. And so now he's charged with federal offenses that could put him into prison for a very long time. As I mentioned, ripple effects. The victims that have gone through this, the University of Michigan, the football program, boy, it's sort of like a little nuclear bomb has gone off right here in my backyard in the justice system.
Is this I'm a big football fan, but I haven't followed this real closely. Is this why the coach at the time, Jim Harbaugh, was suspended for a little bit?
No, in fact, all of the reasons that Harbaugh and others have left or been suspended have been really to do with this alleged cheating scandal. But
Right.
one more thing that's come up and how it affects the program and whether the NCAA will look at this, I'm going to guess probably not, but it's the direct reason why Coach Weiss was let go following a successful season and why we didn't hear his name until he was indicted fairly recently.
So you talked about ripple effects of the case. Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean?
Yeah, we've talked in the past podcasts about this sort of intersection between criminal and civil litigation, right? And that's what my firm does. We defend people charged with crimes, and on occasion we go after people who commit crimes if they victimize others. And this is a perfect example of that. So already you've had hundreds of lawsuits spring up against not only Matt Weiss individually, but against the University of Michigan. And I'm going to guess they're going to continue to grow because we've had these scandals before. And so you have the ripple effects, people victimized and say, well, look, I want him punished, but I'd like to be made whole. I've had to go through counseling. I'm now affected by this. And so you're having these lawsuits against the University of Michigan saying either they didn't protect these victims or perhaps they knew about it and didn't stop it, or that they should have known about it and didn't stop it. So not only the criminal charges that are in federal district court, but the ripple effects into the civil litigation as well.
Wow, that's 8 years. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of time.
You stole the words right out of my mouth. Long time, a lot of people, a lot of alleged victims, and facing a lot of prison time because of it.
Yeah. So what in Michigan specifically, what are some of the more common computer crime offenses that you see?
Yeah, it's a good question. Computer crimes is sort of a general umbrella or term for a very highly growing area of criminal law. And I think they really fall into three categories. I'll say number one category is, sort of the financial crimes, right? These are things like hacking and identity theft and some investment crimes, what people often refer to as white collar crimes. Those are all generally based as computer crimes. Most of those are in federal court. Most of those are not only seeking someone's imprisonment, but financial retribution from the offender. And there's a big category of those ongoing at any given time. You can see in the news with people who are investment people and so forth that are facing these charges. The next category is sort of direct victimization, things like cyber stalking or malicious use of emails or text to harass someone. You might have these revenge porn and social media type offenses.
Yeah.
These are direct victimization computer crimes. And then lastly, you have sort of the sex crimes, possession of certain materials like child sexual abusive materials, child porn, contacting minors over state lines for sexual purposes, and some of the things that Matt Weiss allegedly did. These would fall in that sort of sex crime allegation. And those are the main three categories. And you have dozens of alleged offenses in each category.
I don't know if you can answer this, Matt or Dan. I was curious, like, if what are some of the things he allegedly did with this information, Matt Weiss?
Well, I don't know exactly, but it seems from some of the chatter that, for a prurient interest, right? Sort of a creepy interest, may have looked at them, may have had them on separate files, maybe had women who were in compromising positions and naked.
Mm.
I don't believe there's any indication that he shared those with others or distributed those, or at least nothing has come out publicly about those allegations.
Okay. So back to just talking about all these computer crime offenses that you just mentioned, many of them really serious crimes. How has social media and the proliferation of smartphones kind of changed this landscape?
That's a great question. It's probably exploded this area. As I said, it's one of the highest growing or fastest growing practice areas that I see day in and day out. 20 years ago, computer crimes were largely based in email types offenses and some hacking and things like that. Now that all of us carry a cell phone and a smartphone and internet right in our hands, you're having more individualized offenders and offenses and people that are committing a higher volume of offenses. It's so easy if someone texts someone a threat or someone's harassing someone on social media, you've got now the explosion of those types of offenses adding to what was already a high level of computer crime. So, in a word, those things, social media and handheld devices, have really increased the number of computer crimes offenses that we see day to day.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the ease, right? It's so easy. Like we all have, like you mentioned, we all have a computer in our pocket. So I mean, you don't have to like spend, get home, start your computer up, do whatever it is you want to do. You can just pick up a phone wherever you are and and commit computer crimes essentially.
It's so true, and what used to be they had to come get your computer, find your IP address, link it to someone.
Yep.
Now the police seize the phone, everyone's identity is right on their phone, and it's pretty easy to link it to an individual offender, as I said before.
What are the consequences of computer crime conviction in Michigan?
Most computer crimes in Michigan are gonna be either federal offenses or felonies, those two F words, felony, federal. And those of us that practice in the justice system know that those two F words typically mean prison, right? If someone is convicted of a computer crime, the felony, it's a federal offense, they're generally losing their freedom. So that's the most direct consequence. Even some misdemeanors have consequences that can take away people's freedoms. And then there are collateral consequences now with immigration. People can be deported, lose their visa status. If they commit computer offenses, people might lose their handgun privileges, travel permission. On top of, a lot of times people who are convicted of these offenses lose their access to internet-based phones and computers. Talk about an addiction we all have. Taking that
Yeah.
away from someone's sort of equivalent to taking away alcohol from a drunk driving offender. So those are the direct and collateral consequences, with the main one being typically loss of freedom, jail, prison.
How does the defense usually approach these sort of cases? I know that can vary depending on what's going on, but how are they typically defended?
That's a good question. And I mentioned earlier that the police will seize a phone now or seize a computer. And to me, that's the first line of defense is that seizure valid? Have the police used a proper warrant? Is there what we call probable cause to seize someone's phone or computer? Then do they have adequate probable cause or a warrant to go into the phone? Classic example is if the police get one of my client's phones and they're looking for evidence of a threatening text, and then they start looking at my client's Facebook page or his social media and seeing other offenses, do they have a right to continue looking? So first line of defense is going to be a challenge on search and seizure, Fourth Amendment. Then you might have computer experts to challenge whether someone indeed accessed a certain phone or computer or a certain website. So you may have some challenges there. You may have an intent challenge to say, sure, I did something, but I didn't intend to break the law. So those are the main challenges. But generally speaking, the police are getting better and better. They have specialized experts working for their departments. And once they get someone's phone or computer, it's pretty easy to link a crime to them.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you see AI and some automation and stuff affecting this sort of thing? Are you seeing an increase
That's a
in these
really
crimes because
great
of it?
question. I'm sorry to
Yeah.
interrupt you. Great question. I had a case a while back where my client was dead set that he did not send a number of texts This was in a stalking case. I did not send those, and they came from his number. And at first we were in disbelief, but he got actual proof from his cell phone records that it was not his phone. It was not his line that sent these texts. And so it comes to learn to us that there can be bots, there can be programs. People can use a different number to send a text automated and look as if I sent it. So that's a very interesting area of the law. Not to mention now with deep fake videos and things like that, I think there's going to be a whole new challenge to say, was that this person who did this, or was that a creation, or as you said, AI? It's going to be a very cutting edge defense area over the next 20 years or so.
Yeah. Did you see computer crimes kind of changing dramatically, or at least the process of prosecuting and defending these? Because it is going to get, it's almost like that whole, like the arms race, like who can stay ahead, the good guys or the bad guys.
As you ask me right now in 2025, have I seen AI and those types of things affect prosecution and defense? Not really, other than the issues I cited a second ago, but we certainly have seen, more and more specialized police units, prosecutors units, and the need to have more of an understanding of tech to defend these cases, because, as you said, it is daily changing, and the offenses and the way they're proving them are going to have to change as well.
How do you see the Weiss case playing out from the not from the information that you have thus far?
Yeah, they investigated him for a year and a half. They hit him with 24 charges. As I said before, those dreaded F words, felony and federal. I'd be shocked if he did not end up in prison. That's a starting point. For how long? Maybe 4 or 5 years type minimums are
Wow.
what he may be looking at. And then I think there's going to be a massive class action, for lack of a better word, settlement with the University of Michigan, just all these plaintiffs who are suing them, similar to what other universities have gone through, including the University of Michigan, when they had a doctor who was victimizing student athletes. So it's going to play out over time, but I think that intersection of criminal civil litigation, you're going to see a federal sentence and a lot of money going to these victims.
Do you think that this will sort of maybe open people's eyes to changing the way people have access? Because it sounds like this guy didn't need to have access to what he had access to, clearly. So they probably there's a miss somewhere on the the verifications, or the how people can get in. Do you see this having bigger impact?
Yeah, it might. And one of the curious things for me, as you said, a football fan and an observer, is did he have access to those things by nature of his ability to recruit? Did he get some sort of special access because he says, I'm a recruiter? And if so, the NCAA is going to have to investigate whether or not there are loopholes in these third-party platforms. And then I think people are going to be more careful about what they're posting, thinking something that's private, not necessarily the case,
Mhm.
and very careful about posting things that are intimate, or where they're naked, or things of that nature. So I think there's going to have to be an institutional change and then a personal change as well.
Yeah, I mean, 8 years. You know what I mean? To be able to be doing this for 8 years sounds like somebody had some access, extensive access maybe they shouldn't have had.
No doubt about it. And probably from his perspective, he thought, this is too easy. I've gotten away with it for a decade, until someone either ratted him out or the police were onto him. And then a year and a half later, they have connected those dots, and it does not look good for good old Coach Weiss.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you knew how they found out about this.
That's one of the things that's fairly quiet. I don't
Yeah.
know whether someone was victimized and they reported it, and then they were able to connect those dots, or whether someone sort of heard what Matt Weiss was doing and maybe reported him to law enforcement. I'm not privy to that. I don't even know if his attorneys know exactly how that happened, but it'd be interesting to see if that comes out publicly.
All right. Well, thanks for that. And thank you for joining us on Michigan Justice Chronicles with board certified criminal trial attorney Daniel T. Geherin. If you'd like to get in touch with Dan or his team, you can visit glgmichigan.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and leave us a review if you have a second. Dan, really interesting stuff. Thank you so much for the insight on this.
Happy to help, Kevin. Thanks. Talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.